So when I was little, background story first before we actually get into this. When I was little, I went to like camps and stuff that basically were like nerd camps because I'm a nerd and I love sciencey things and all that kind of stuff. So I went to this camp that basically we built rockets the entire week, and at the end of the week we like launched them, and I thought it was the most fascinating thing in the entire world. And with what I'm doing now and like physics and stuff, I kind of dive into more of like the science of how they actually work rather than just like launching them and stuff, because I was like 10, right? But I've been like so interested when I took physics 1 like a year ago, and I just wrapped up physics 2 this past semester. I went into diving into the analytics of like kinematics and stuff that talks about trajectories and rockets and a lot of that kind of stuff that I was super enthused by. And it kind of brought back some childhood memories, and I started pulling out those rockets that I built at camp because like we were able to bring them home with us. They were our own. It was really cool. And I started to put together stuff because I wanted to launch them. And the one thing that I always knew was that the controllers that SD's built, like the cheap, like they usually are like a yellow tint controller, they always break. And me being the person I am was like, you know what, I just take it upon myself, I'll just build one. So like 2 years ago, this was when I was graduating high school. The summer between when I graduated high school and my freshman year of college, I built a homemade controller that like, honestly, it's nothing crazy, and I'll dive into the pieces and stuff of it. But I just built a homemade controller that was super reliable for me to always be able to like use, and so yeah. And I pulled out all those rockets and stuff, and this is like a part 1 video of part 2. Part 2 would actually be like launching the rockets at some point soon. But if I did that all in one video with the hardware and stuff, it'd be like a 30-minute video. So I don't want to do that. It would just be too long. But so here's just kind of like my love of rockets and this homemade controller that I built. And I'll explain in this video how I built it and kind of what the components are and how you can kind of do it yourself. So this is pretty much the entirety of the controller that I worked on. You got double D batteries, or you just got D batteries, 2 of them, a light here as an indicator, a key, the actual switch itself, and then a bunch of wiring that goes on in between all of this, and a ton of duct tape. And really, all in all, it's really simple. So let's get down to exactly how I did the wiring and how you can do it yourself. So starting with the positive end, I took both the positive ends of each D battery. I connected them in conjunction with a red wire. The red wire feeds out. And this hole right here was probably the most tedious part of this entire thing. This hole has 2 wires actually feeding into it, and basically what the idea is on the SD's controller, you have at one point a place where you can put a key, and that kind of arms the controller so that when you press the launch button, it ignites the rocket. But without having a key in here, the system isn't armed in any way, shape, or form. So what I did was I took the exact key actually from the SD's controller, and I made it so that you can put the key in here and it'll actually attach the 2 wires that feed into here. And then what'll happen is it'll light up this light to let you know that the system's armed, because there's a feed that goes from here into the light, and there's a feed that comes from here also that goes out to the switch that'll actually ignite it. And then from the switch, the feed, this wire, this red wire right here, and this other black wire will be the negative feed that comes back. From these two will be the leads that go out to the actual rocket to ignite it. You just attach two long wires essentially to this, and then to the igniter of the rocket. This feed comes back in through the negative end. Everything is attached either wire to wire or wire to screw to keep the electrical pulse going through, and then the wires feed back into the D batteries, and they're both attached on the negative end with these two wires, and then in conjunction. Again, it's pretty straightforward. When this key is out, the system's not armed. This light will not light up. And again, using any light will work. This was the only thing I had around my house. I pretty much built this with the most cheap materials I possibly could find, because I didn't need anything crazy. This was just an extra switch that we had laying around. It's a standard wall outlet switch that you can use. These screws cannot be unscrewed. You tie a wire around them, screw them back in. Really simple. And I just nailed everything down to keep it solidified and in one place. So that's how I built a model rocket launch controller. And yeah, it's super simple. You can do this at home, and you can do it probably within a half hour if you know. If you're gonna go with this model, it's really simple. It's just a bunch of wiring. So yeah, that's it, and I will see you guys soon. Thank you for watching.